Bugsy back. And man, I got 3 videos for y'all young niggas today. 3 videos. And I just dropped the story time, my nigga. My audio on my story time was type fucked up. I was using my phone and shit. I don't know if I had it in the wrong spot or whatever. I might delete it. I ain't gonna lie, but my nigga. We about to find out the most difficult NBA championship ever won, my nigga. I'm a basketball IQ god, my nigga. I could be an NBA analyst, like literally, like better than Max, Stephen A, all of them niggas, like not even capping, but let's hop right into this
Thursday
shit.
night, the Los Angeles Lakers wrapped up
Yeah,
this
go James.
long
You see
and
the-
grueling season with
Yeah, I
a
see the
championship,
LeBron, yeah, let's
a
see the
storybook
LeBron real
ending
quick,
for
yeah.
LeBron, AD, and the Lakers
Yeah,
organization. And now that the season is over, I wanted to take a deep dive into something that has been circulating over the
See what
last
you're
few
talking. Shout out
days.
to Jimmy.
This championship being one of the easiest to win in
It's
recent
cap.
years. Not only did I crunch the numbers to find out if there was any truth to this claim, the result that I got is one you have to see
It's cap.
to believe.
I always
With
find a way to
LeBron
hate.
claiming his 4th ring, the tone among NBA fans hasn't changed much. Some people love to see it, others don't. This was about as predictable as it gets. Hence, the title of my last video. Others don't. This was about as predictable as it gets. Hence, the title of my last video. With many NBA fans saying this season was so different and unconventional that this particular championship should have an asterisk next to it. Or, as some call it, the Mickey Mouse Rec League Championship. But looking at this from an objective point of view, where does this championship run rank all time in terms of difficulty? What championship team had the hardest run to a title, and which championship team had the easiest run? Well, I started this search for the ultimate championship run and quickly came across this Reddit post from 4 years ago. This Reddit user came up with a simple way of measuring the difficulty of a team's title run by using an advanced stat called the Simple Rating System, or SRS. This stat measures a team's margin of victory throughout the season adjusted for strength of schedule. Basically, this stat quantifies how good a team is. For example, this season the Bucks had the highest SRS in the entire league of 9.41, followed by the Clippers, Lakers, and Raptors. Just like any other stat, it has its flaws, but overall it's a great indicator of how great or terrible a team is. He then added up the total SRS values for every team that each championship team beat in the playoffs. For example, in 2017,
Like,
the
look
Warriors...
at that, bro. The Warriors, like, bro. Blazers, Jazz, and Spurs, my nigga, that's ass juice. The Jazz will always be ass juice, my nigga. I didn't beat nobody, bro. Like, who the Spurs had that year? Kawhi? He got injured that year, right? Yeah.
beat the Blazers, Jazz, Spurs, and
The Blazers, you know
Cavaliers.
they never
Add
gonna
up
do
the
shit,
SRS
bro.
scores
Niggas
for
ass
each of
too.
those teams, and the difficulty of the Warriors' 2017 championship run is 13.77. So now that we understand how this all works, here's the
All you need to launch a culinary empire. A Squarespace.
This better be the
list
only
of
one.
championship runs ranked in terms of difficulty, with the 1995 Rockets having the most difficult path to a championship and the 1987 Lakers having the easiest path to a championship. This list only includes championships dating back to the 1984 season, since that is when the 16-team playoff system was introduced. So, with the last 37 championship teams listed, where do the 2020 Lakers land? All the way down at 35th. In the last 37 seasons, only 2 championship teams faced easier competition than the Lakers faced in this.
Bro, I'm tired of this shit, bro. Like, I'm tired of this shit, bro. Y'all gonna stop sucking. Y'all gonna stop. Y'all doing this just because LeBron's on the Lakers, bro. Is he supposed to lose on purpose, my nigga? Is it his fault that the Heat were in the finals? Is he in the East or the West, my nigga? Is it his fault that the Clippers lost? Y'all niggas is gonna stop dick riding, my nigga.
Season's playoffs. In my last video, I talked about how the Lakers' path to a title this season was no easier than any other championship teams. And I literally could not have been more wrong. Not only was their path easy, it was nearly the easiest path of the last 37 seasons. But let's take a deeper look into some of these numbers. The first thing that jumped out at me was that the Shaq and Kobe Lakers three-peat featured 3 of the top 5 most difficult paths to a championship. That is unbelievable. And even crazier is that in 2001, the Lakers nearly swept the playoffs, going 15-1 while facing the second most difficult opponents in the process. So if you've ever wondered what team was the most dominant in the last 35 seasons, I think there is your answer. Now, if we highlight each decade, then we can see which 10-year span featured the most difficult runs to a championship. And for the most part, each decade had similar levels of difficulty. Except the 80s. But this was because for most of the 80s, the league only had 23 teams, which meant a 16-team playoff format featured many teams with losing records. Simply put, the league was still good, but it was super top-heavy with bad teams making the playoffs. With that being said, it's still shocking just how easy it was to get deep into the playoffs in the 80s. So, you know how the NBA has been a bit one-sided throughout recent history in terms of talent level in each conference? Well, this next graphic highlights just that.
Ads, my nigga, stop with the ads, bro.
Grammarly does more than catch errors. With Grammarly, you can find
Graphing the most difficult paths to a championship using SRS scores on the y-axis, you can see that the West has won 4 of the 5 toughest championships since 1984. The West has also won 12 of the 20 most difficult titles in the last 37 seasons. 4 of those 8 titles from the East coming at the hands of Michael Jordan and the Bulls. Here are Michael Jordan's 6 titles. Here are Kobe's 5 championships, every single one of them having a very high degree of difficulty. And here are LeBron's 4 championships. Now, strictly considering how challenging each of these championship runs were, which collection of championships looks more impressive? At face value, Kobe's rings are easily the greatest collection of tough titles in the modern NBA. Now consider the fact that Mike and LeBron received Finals MVP in every one of their championship seasons, and Kobe won the award just 2 out of 5 times. And for some more reference, here are Magic Johnson's last 3 championships. I've said it before, and I cannot stress this enough. Not every championship is built the same. And when you start considering other variables like who did they play with, was there any significant injuries, and how well did they play in the finals, you begin to see just how ridiculous it is to base the foundation of your GOAT debate on purely how many rings a player has. Most would agree that 5 rings beats 4, but what if the 5 rings were won on a relatively easy path, while the 4 were won on a more difficult path? And before we move on, I just want to point out that this era of the NBA, the 90s and early 2000s, was easily the most competitive time in basketball.
What did you just say?
And early 2000s, I just want to point out that this era of the NBA, the 90s and early 2000s, was easily the most competitive time in basketball. Just something to think about. So after seeing just how different each title run can be, one surprising aspect of this experiment that jumped out at me was the fact that the best 2 teams don't always end up in the finals. In fact, rarely do the best 2 teams end up in the finals. For example, in the 2001 playoffs, the Lakers faced off against the 76ers in the finals. This was possibly the biggest finals mismatch in recent history, but NBA fans knew this at the time. However, just how big of a mismatch this was is absurd. On their path to the finals, the Lakers beat the Blazers, the Kings, and the Spurs. All of these teams had a higher SRS score than the 76ers. Of course, this is a rather simple metric to grade how good a team is, but it is not a stretch to say that the Lakers faced better teams at every stage leading up to the finals than they did in the finals. In 2018, the Warriors beat the Spurs, the Pelicans, and the Rockets on their way to the finals to face the Cavs. Each of these Western Conference teams being statistically better than the Cavaliers. So think to yourself, how many players and teams have been eliminated before the finals that could have made the finals if they were just in a different conference? How many NBA championships were decided in the Western Conference? This is why, although I'm a certified LeBron fanboy, I don't put as much weight into his 10 finals appearances as other fans. I have to consider the fact that—
Here we go, disrespecting greatness, bro. You gonna stop, bro. He got drafted in the East, my nigga. Why y'all keep disrespecting him? He's from Cleveland, my nigga. It was meant to happen, my nigga. Stop fucking hating, nigga. Why didn't Jordan do this shit, nigga?
During those finals runs, the East was considerably worse than the West, and if LeBron and the Cavs were in the West, they may not have even—
It was still been tracks and shit.
So just how easy was the Lakers' path to a championship this season? Quite frankly, it was historically easy. But the craziest part about all of this is that in 20 years,
Hold up, bro. First, I gotta get this off. First round versus the Blazers. Blazers won game 1. Y'all said that they was gonna sweep us, nigga. Said that they were gonna sweep the Lakers, nigga. Sweep. Sweep. Then y'all got 4-0. Y'all got swept. Y'all got to the fucking crib. The second round versus the Rockets. They beat us game 1. Y'all said the same thing. Rockets, it's a sweep. Oh, sweep. Beat them niggas 4 times in a row. Send them to the crib. Same thing with Denver. Them niggas suck. The Heat, y'all got lucky with another. Y'all got lucky
no
with
one
2
will
games,
care about the
but
details.
come on, bro.
Just like how no one cares that
Ran
3
through
of
y'all
Magic's
niggas
5
for fun.
rings were won on easy paths. Just like how the 99 Spurs snagged a relatively easy ring during the most difficult era of the NBA. Just like how MJ's path to his first 2 rings were immensely easier than the path to his last 4. It doesn't matter because it doesn't change
MJ was
anything.
playing against
Regardless
niggas
of how
like
you get it, a
Clyde
ring is
Drexler in
still
the
a ring.
finals, bro. Clyde Drexler wouldn't even be a top 15 player in the NBA today, my nigga. He wouldn't. He's not better than. I mean, who he's not better than? He's not better than Jason Tatum. Clyde Drexler is fucking butt. Not better than Clay. He's not better than Harden. He's not better than the whole. He's butt juice, my nigga.
And although
Playing
they
against
aren't
John
all built the
Stockton. He's a
same,
good point
they
guard,
all
no, bro. But
shine
come on, bro.
just
He's
as
a fucking
bright.
casual, my nigga. He's a white boy.
Hope you all
He's throwing
enjoyed.
these
And as
little
always,
assists.
until
Like,
next
come on,
time.
bro. Who can't do that shit, bro? He would not be doing half of that in his generation, bro. What happened, my nigga?
Hope you all enjoyed. And as always, they all shine just as bright.
Man, what the fuck did I just watch, my nigga? Jimmy, don't ever make no shit like this again, man. What was this?